Hi class, thanks for spending a few minutes today to view the participation video. It's important that you understand all of the requirements for participation since this is 10% of your overall grade. So let's get started, shall we? Participation requirements are actually quite straightforward. In order to earn maximum credit for the week, you must have at least 8 substantial messages during that week, and you must use at least 3 days of the week to post those messages. Now, in the bottom example of this little calendar, we have Saturday, Sunday, and Monday being used for all 8 messages. You don't have to use just 3 days. You can spread it out over the entire week. The middle example shows 1 message per day with 2 on Friday or 2 on any day to make up a total of 8. And the top example shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Monday being used, giving you the weekend off. So just keep in mind what's important is that you use at least 3 days of the week, but keep in mind also that your posting may not be marked substantial and you may have to play catch up at some point. A substantial posting will have a minimum length requirement imposed by any given instructor. So make sure that you read the instructor's instructor policy document available on the home page of the classroom on the right side under the instructor policy link. It may be a word count or it may be a sentence count, and again it can be different for each instructor. A good rule of thumb would be to have at least 3 well-developed sentences. You would have an introductory sentence, you would have your content or your body sentences, and then maybe a summary sentence, and possibly even a question that you pose to the class for follow-up. Make sure that your information pertains to the topic at hand. If you're discussing Chapter 1, stick with the contents of Chapter 1 and the concepts that were being discussed in that reading. If you go too far off topic, the instructor may not give you credit for that posting. Likewise, if you are replying to another classmate who is off topic, don't continue the off topic if you wish to earn credit. You may bring the discussion back on topic, which would be fantastic. But if you continue off topic like the previous student, chances are it's not going to be a substantive posting. Make sure that your spelling, grammar, mechanics, and sentence structure are proper because we are in an academic environment. Use the spell checker in the posting window. It's very easy to use and it's very good, and it does help with a lot of situations. As far as knowing if you've earned credit or not for a posting, instructors will mark a green S for a substantial posting, and they will mark a purple U for an unsubstantial posting. We will be discussing the unsubstantial postings shortly. My rule of thumb for marking postings is that I do it every morning. So if you post late on a Tuesday, Wednesday morning you'll see that you've either earned credit or you haven't. But be patient. There are a lot of postings and multiple classes to get through, and I do read every posting and reply to many of them. And so it does take some time to work my way through all of the postings. If you happen to find one that doesn't have a marking on it and it's maybe over 24 hours old, drop me a private message and I'll make sure that one that didn't get missed or that maybe the marking didn't stick, so to speak. So what should you include in your postings? Well, this is a conversation. So depending on, if you're replying to a student, replying to myself, or posting a fresh message, keep in mind that you're conversing with other students, just not in real time. You can summarize what you've learned maybe for a chapter or through an assignment. If there's interesting information that you've realized maybe reading through a chapter, you can bring that out and discuss that it's interesting and that it may be beneficial to you. Discuss how these newfound items of knowledge are going to pertain to your life or your school or your job. Critical thinking is usable in everyday life, regardless of whether it's school or work related, and so there's a lot to discuss. You may want to apply it to your future career and how it's going to help you. If you are in the middle of a discussion and you find that maybe you're lacking a little information, or you'd like to have something just a little bit more than maybe what the textbook offers, go out to the internet, do a little research. You might find a link that further explains an idea or a concept, or maybe how to use a piece of knowledge. And so feel free to post a link. Keep in mind that if you do any research, you must provide a reference to that research. This is all in the interest of avoiding plagiarism. Using someone else's information must be shown as a reference to give credit to that source. You can also pose questions to your classmates that pertain to any given discussion that's going on. You may pose a question for clarification because you don't understand something. You may pose a question just to generate more discussion. And so use that wisely, but again, it's a very effective tool for generating more conversation. And that's what we're doing here. We're conversing with other students. Unsubstantial postings do not earn credit. Pure and simple, if you have a posting marked with a U, you do not get a point for it, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. This is not necessarily negative. What it's saying is you did not get credit for that posting. Why didn't you get credit? Here are a few good examples. You're reading chapter 1, you post a message to your fellow classmate Bob and say, "Hi Bob, it's good to see you in class again." That's great, but it's not appropriate for chapter 1. And so personal messages should go into the class message area. You do not earn credit in the class message area, but it's a great place to discuss things with your classmates. If you post a message saying, "Bob, you did a great job with that posting. I really appreciate it. I've learned a lot." That again is a good personal message, but you didn't follow through with what you learned, how you're going to benefit from it, and then possibly extend the conversation further with other new information. Personal matters that do not pertain to what you're learning, class message area. If you have very poor grammar, if you use a lowercase I in place of the uppercase I when you're referring to yourself, these two things could very possibly cause an unsubstantial marking. It's proofreading. It's making sure that your writing is professional and academic. Use the spell checker. If you use text message language such as LOL and OMG, I guarantee that credit will not be given to a message. If you have very poor sentence structure, it's possible that you're not going to earn credit. Read your messages aloud before you post them. See if they make sense. And also, if you only ask a question and you don't have any further information, that typically is not an academic message, and it too will not be earning credit. Now that we have a good idea of what to post, where do we post it? Typically, learning activities. You have required, recommended learning activities, and then you also have assignments. And most all of those activities are open to discussion. If you encounter one that as you open it, you don't see a message button or any discussion going on, there's a good chance that it's just not open to discussion. It's rare, but it does happen because some things are just not well suited for discussion. If you post in class messages, they will not be counted towards participation, period. So please keep all of your academic discussion, if you want credit, under one of the activities. Personal questions should be sent through your private messages. If you want to ask a question of me, if you have something in regards to grading that you'd like to discuss, definitely a private message. If you're having a problem with understanding an assignment, again, feel free to post a private message to me. You can post one to your classmates under class messages, but again, it's one of those situations where you might have 5 different replies and 5 different thoughts, but sending one to me, I would at least give you the thoughts behind the assignment and what the specific requirements are. So Private messages for me, you can send a private message to another student, which is fine, and I don't see those. And keep the class message for general discussion, introducing yourself to other students if you wish, and so on and so forth. As I mentioned earlier, postings are marked or graded with an S or a U. Please remember that the U doesn't mean that you put in a bad posting, but there's something about it that caused it to not earn credit. If you're unable to see what that is by rereading it, post a private message to your instructor. Let them explain it to you. They're more than happy to. The letter markings may not appear, immediately. I typically grade postings every morning, and so I start early in the morning, and it may take me hours to get through all of them, but rest assured that every posting will get a marking. Now, if you happen to find one that is not marked and more than a day or so has gone by, feel free to contact your instructor with a private message. It's possible that it was missed. There's an occasional time when we put an S or a U on a posting, and for some reason it doesn't stick. And unless we go back through every posting that's been made during the week, we don't see it. But as you look at your overall postings for the week, it becomes obvious to you that you're showing that you made a posting on Tuesday, for instance, and it's now Thursday, but there's no marking on it. So again, that's a good situation where you want to have a private message to your instructor. One last item to mention, and that is typically the weekend. Because full-time faculty do not work necessarily on the weekend, you may not see postings from Friday marked until Monday. Enjoy your discussions, take advantage of them, and I hope you learn a lot in them. Thank you for your time.